Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 40, establishing Military Service Members Court Program. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Brooke County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose of the committee substitute for Senate Bill 40 is to allow the West Virginia Supreme Court to establish and operate a military court called the Military Service Members Court. The military court would be a standalone court operating in conjunction with drug courts and other specialty courts. Each military service member court judge may establish rules and make special orders as necessary that do not conflict with rules and orders promulgated by the Supreme Court of Appeals. Each military service members court, with the guidance of the Supreme Court of Appeals, may establish a schedule for the payment of reasonable fees and costs. A military service member offender is eligible for admittance into a court program if he or she is either on active military duty or was honorably discharged, eligible for probation based upon the nature of the offense for which he or she has been charged with, and in consideration of his or her criminal background. There is also a required agreement of the prosecutor and the offender. A military service member offender may not participate in a court program if he or she has been charged with any of a number of enumerated offenses. Upon successful completion of the court program, the judge shall dispose of an offender's case in the manner prescribed by the written agreement and by the applicable policies and procedures adopted by the court. Upon receipt of an application, the court shall order substance abuse and mental health screening. If appropriate, the court may order substance abuse treatment or mental health counseling. Violation of the terms of written agreement by the military service member offender may result in the imposition of reasonable sanctions by the court. Upon successful completion of the terms and conditions of the program, the court may dismiss the original charges against the offender, successfully terminate the offender's sentence, permit the offender to enter into a plea agreement to a lesser offense, or otherwise discharge him or her from any further proceedings against him or her in the original prosecution. Mr. President, I urge passage of the bill.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote no. Further discussion? Senator may proceed.
Permission to speak to the bill, Mr. President.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, ladies and gentlemen, really is a bill to right a wrong. This program existed in several counties throughout the state of West Virginia up until 2016, before it was disbanded by then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Alan Lawfrey, for reasons of a lack of funding. Subsequently, we have learned that the funding that the court may or may not have had at the time is a different story than we may have been getting. In the Northern Panhandle alone, when this program was in its existence, 214 graduates passed through this program, 214 veterans who chose to take part in the program, make a choice to make their life better for themselves and their families. In the state of West Virginia, it costs about $27,000 on average to incarcerate an individual for 1 year. The average cost of a veteran to go through this program when it existed was about $1,500. So it's a cost savings program. But this isn't just about dollars and cents. This isn't just about money that we're saving by not sending someone to a period of incarceration. It's about getting veterans that have issues connected to their service the help that they deserve. Mr. President, when I came home from my deployment from Afghanistan in 2011, it was a great day for me. I met my wife for the very first time that day. I can still see my family standing outside of my house, my mom holding my dog that I hadn't seen in about 13 months. A couple weeks later, I started law school, and I started a whole new life back in West Virginia, where I had moved from after college. But unfortunately, that's not the case for many members who come home from a combat deployment. A lot of folks come home to strained marriages, to issues involving health-related issues to their deployment. They come home to an inability to communicate about their time away. And it leads to a lot of issues. It's estimated that 300,000 veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan currently suffer from PTSD issues, depression issues, and oftentimes that's what leads a veteran to find themselves within the criminal court system. One of the biggest predictive factors for a veteran to find themselves in the criminal court system is substance abuse. And oftentimes, because of physical or psychological injuries that they suffer from a deployment, they find themselves suffering from those very problems. Medication that they had easy access to while away or for a period when they came home, but they no longer have that. And it leads to a breakdown in their lives, and it leads them to the court system. This program, when it was very successful, Mr. President, included what I think is the most important part of it, and it's a veteran volunteer to help shepherd the veteran through the program, to help guide them through what they need to accomplish in order to graduate. And I think that's very key. I think it's a very successful part of the program because it gives that veteran back the sense of camaraderie, the sense of brotherhood that they had while they were in the military. And I think that's what has led this program to be so very successful. These core programs can help link veterans to very necessary programs, very important programs with the VA, with Veterans Assistance here in West Virginia. But substance abuse issues, mental health issues aren't the only the issues that veterans face when they come home. And those are the two main components that I think that this program can help tackle and help face head on. Because oftentimes, sadly enough, those two issues lead to what is the most significant issue that veterans face, and that's suicide, Mr. President. On average, every day in the United States of America, 20 veterans take their lives. And that includes active duty service members as well. 20. And so if we can pass this bill, if we can get this back into law and get this program back on its feet, and if we can save one life of a veteran with what we do, then I think this bill is very much worth it. And I want to thank the chairman of the Judiciary Committee who helped me tremendously with this bill. I want to thank the current members of the Supreme Court of West Virginia who helped draft this bill and help work on this bill and get us to a point where it's workable and it's going to help folks. There's also someone I want to thank back in my local community. His name is Jim Lee. And people who have been around for a long time and people who are familiar with the court system here know Mr. Lee. He was a long-time probation officer in Brooke County. He, along with a couple other folks, helped spearhead community corrections, which some of you are familiar with. The drug court system is the most important part of that. And Mr. Lee is a veteran of the war in Vietnam, and he's pretty integral in helping me get this piece of legislation introduced and has helped me tremendously in trying to get it moved along, and so I appreciate his help as well. So there are a lot of people that are behind this piece of legislation because it's really aimed at helping those people who have helped us as a nation, the folks that you all saw standing around here last week, Mr. President. So I'm honored to be a veteran, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to help so many with this program. So I urge passage of the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? Not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question remaining 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting. More than the majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.